Looks like we are live. We'll just give it one quick second to jump. Yes, we are. Excellent. All right. So, welcome everybody. I am really excited to be here today. For those of you new to my channel, I am Jenn J. I'm an advanced holistic nutritionist and women's hormone health coach. And a lot of what I talk about here on my channel is nutrition and the impact that food has on our health. And I see that my camera has gone wonky now, so bear with me. I apologize. There we go. And today I'm actually really excited to be hosting Michele here, who's a personal trainer and weight loss health coach for moms to help bring a more balanced and holistic approach to our health and our goals here. And today we are going to be talking about how to exercise when you're short on time, which is something I'm sure most of us struggle with. I know myself, I do as well. And Michele, as a mompreneur of 4 children, it's safe to say that Michele knows a thing or two about being short on time. So before we get started here, Michele, I want to thank you for being here today. And I want to open up the floor for you to introduce yourself and share a little bit about who you are and the business that you run.
Yeah, so I have my degree in physical therapy, but as you were saying, I have 4 kids. I'm also a military wife, so we have moved around a lot. So I had at different times had to put my career sort of on the back burner and focus more on the kids and family. But I remember when I had my 3 kids, and they were all pretty little at that time. I had sort of lost my baby weight, but then I started to gain weight. And I remember going up a flight of stairs and just being out of breath and like, I am way too young for this. Something needs to change, but I just don't have a lot of time. I'm stressed. I mean, just trying to keep little kids alive and fed and not having a house that's a complete disaster. It's hard, but what I found that I could do was do really short workouts. I could have my kids work out with me. I could go on walks with them, go to the park, play tag with them, and found ways to incorporate exercise and movement, and also find really simple ways to improve my nutrition without dieting. And that worked. It helped me to lose the weight, to really feel better, to have more energy. So a couple years ago, I started my own business because I've always had a passion for health and wellness and really helping other moms and women do the same thing, really, because I think there's so much misinformation about out there, so many diets, so many like long workouts, hardcore things, and that's really just not the way it is. So I created my business working online with women, bringing together that fitness and nutrition piece, working on hormones and all those different things in a way that is doable and that works and that really also promotes health. So, everyone wants to lose weight, but we also really have to think about health, especially as we're getting older, because that is what really matters.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I love that you've got that sustainable approach, that non-dieting mindset. And you're right. Like, I think a lot of us, we have this idea that health has to be intensive and overwhelming and stressful. And really, when we break it down into those simple habits and really prioritize the little things that matter, we can actually see really big results and feel good about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people are so used to like having to follow something strict or do something really hard. And we just think that's what we need to do to see something different or to make a change. And it's just not the case.
It's not. And I'm so glad you're here to share this with us. I'm excited. So, definitely, exercising when we're short on time, it's something I know I struggle with, as a business owner, as a mom, as just a busy person in general. And I think a lot of us really do have this struggle when we think about it. Even those of us who are not moms, right? Like, all of us are really busy. And I think a lot of us, the biggest struggle is figuring out where to balance work, life, and health in a way that actually feels good for us, where it's not overwhelming. So I'm excited that you're going to be sharing some of these tips with us. So, what would you say are some really simple tips that we can give our audience here today that can help them start an exercise routine that feels good for them?
Yeah. So one disclaimer is always start with something you enjoy. So I'm going to tell you my favorite form of exercise, but I want you to start with something that you actually enjoy and that you're actually going to do, because that is what will give you the motivation to stick with it. So if you're someone who really likes walking, hiking, dancing, whatever it is, start there. But one of my favorite workouts is strength training, because once you learn how to do it correctly, you're going to put on muscle, and muscle is going to burn more calories and fat. It's going to tone you. It's going to help with your bone strength as you get older. There's so many benefits to strength training. And I'm not talking like super duty, CrossFit, heavy lifting training here. I'm talking at your home. You can do body weight. You can use 5 to 10 pounds strength training that you can do at home. And you want those muscles to burn, because when you feel that burn in the muscles, that is your muscles repairing and rebuilding and getting stronger. So strength training is a great way to start. And once you know how to do exercises correctly, like once you learn how to do that squat correctly, you're learning how to do bicep curls correctly, and you got those down, you can start to combine those together. So you can do a squat and a bicep curl at the same time. So you're working out in twice as less time, which is really efficient. So once you get those movement down, you can combine it and do a really quick 10 to 15-minute workout. And I love sharing. So this year I turned 40, and I had tried to do pull-ups before, couldn't ever get it. I had like tried the band and helped, couldn't do it. So I looked for some different programs to like actually teach me how to do a pull-up and actually how to learn it. Even though I have a background in fitness and physical therapy, like I never actually learned how to do it correctly. So I remember looking at 2 different programs. One was 45 minutes, 5 days a week. I'm like, I know I'm not going to do that. So I kept looking. This other one was 10 minutes, 5 days a week. And I actually only ended up doing it 10 minutes, 3 times a week, because I knew I would just be too sore. My body just like wouldn't tolerate it. But within 1 month of only doing 10 minutes, 3 days a week, I got my first pull-up. And just last week, I can now do 4 in a row again. And I've probably only been doing it 2 or 3 times a week. But once you learn how to train correctly and you're very efficient at what you do, you can work out in a short amount of time and see results.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, congratulations. That is
Yeah.
a huge like achievement. I think it's something that a lot of actually, even a lot of fitness trainers, and I've seen a lot of, gym buffs too, where it is their goal to be able to do 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 pull-ups in the gym, right? So to be able to have found a program where you were fitting it into what was realistic for your lifestyle and your time commitment, and then commit to it and do it and like see the results. It's incredible.
Yeah. And I didn't have to do like 45-minute workouts. Like I was able to learn how I needed to train those muscles correctly to do it in a short amount of time, which is what I'm all about.
I love that. And I think too, like one of the things that a lot of us underestimate when we say that we're short on time is sort of where we're spending our time, right? Like I know a lot of us, probably as busy moms, when we put the kids to bed, probably one of the first things we do is we turn on the TV and we crash on the couch, right? I know I'm totally guilty of it, and I know a lot of my audience here as well, right? It's something that it's like our unwind time. It's the time where we finally have peace and quiet. Somebody's not hanging off of us. Somebody is not calling mom 100 times. Somebody's not screaming. Like, right. There's all that decompression that's happening. And what I actually noticed for myself was that time was actually where I had the most physical energy to do a workout, because I was finally decompressed and I was finally sort of moving away from that mom role and stepping back into myself. And so for myself, what I found was, because I did still want to enjoy a show, not something that had some sort of cartoon on it and came from Disney. I wanted to enjoy something that stimulated myself. So I actually ended up pairing the two. And that has actually helped me stay motivated and sort of anchored into being active and committing to some sort of movement in my day, where I'm still getting that emotional fulfillment of enjoying my show, but I'm pairing it with that time that would have normally been spent on the couch or not doing anything, not moving, to fulfill that physical desire that my body has as well.
Yeah, I love that. And that's a great way, especially when someone feels really stuck and just really having a hard time getting started, is exactly like you said, pair it with something you enjoy. So if that's like walks outside, always, so I really like to tune in. Like, one, do I need to listen to something? Is it music? Is it a podcast where I want to learn? And really just being able to tune in, like, what do I need right now? And what would be fun? What am I craving? And pairing those together.
Yes, I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think that's where a lot of us, as busy people in general, if we are a little bit more aware of where we spend that time, and kind of pick up on time, can we be multitasking? What can we be doing? Even in the kitchen, as we're cooking, like I love when I have the opportunity to throw on some music, nice and loud, get in the kitchen, cook, and just dance. And even that dancing is a good form of, moving my body and being active
Yeah.
and releasing those endorphins. And I feel like even that, that sort of small action, while it sounds really fun, it actually helps precipitate the desire to want to move your body, right? Because you feel good, and you're thinking like, oh, like I like how I feel right now. What else can I do to keep this going, right? And it can
Yeah.
really start to snowball into that intentional effort of being
Yeah.
active.
Yeah. And I think so hard when people want to start exercising, it feels so hard. And sometimes you don't always feel that initial, like, oh, this feels good. But it really doesn't take long. Once you stick with exercise and movement, 2, 3 weeks, a month, you're definitely going to start to crave it. And because it releases these feel good endorphins, and you're going to want to do it more and more. And you're going to feel less resistance than when you started. But sometimes when you're starting, you just got to push yourself, and then you're usually fine.
Yes.
So it's just pushing that button, hitting go, and then you're going to start to develop that habit. It's going to start to feel better, and it becomes a lot easier to do. And it doesn't feel like that drudgery.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think some of what scares us off, or that conception that it's really scary, is that for what a lot of us recognize as fitness is, heavy weightlifting, long intensive gym workouts, having to take time to go to the gym and all of that. And I know you touched a little bit on how we can be working out at home, with a small amount of weights and being more intentional. But what are some other ways that we can be moving our bodies and still experiencing great results? Either things like increased energy, better moods, and of course the weight loss as well.
Yeah. So one thing is, we were just talking about kids, and I mentioned at the beginning, is doing things with your kids. Like this week, I was playing tag with my 5-year-old. And I mean, it was basically interval training, because I was like running. I mean, I don't run super fast, and I'm like pausing and hiding behind something. But getting out and playing with your kids can be a great way. And that counts as a workout. Or, Nerf gun fights with them. That's another great way. And I always feel like, oh, like I don't really feel like playing with them. But as soon as I start doing it with them, like we have a good time. I don't know why. I have that little bit of resistance, but if I just do it, then I have fun. Like I'm in a better mood. I bonded with my kids. Like it's really just a good experience for everybody. So that is like one great way to work out that normally we don't think of as an exercise or workout. And the other is, like I mentioned, strength training. I'm also a yoga teacher, so I love yoga, especially yoga that's geared towards strength training. So where you're feeling those muscles burn and you're getting more of a workout, because in yoga, you are incorporating, if you're doing it, depending on the teacher, deep breathing, which helps to relax and calm you throughout the whole practice. You're working on your flexibility, you're working on your strength training. You're also typically working on balance, which is often forgotten. And you get all those in one workout. So I think that's a great way, especially if you are feeling stressed and having more of that. Yoga is always something I go back to when we're going through a harder season, or we just have more going on, because I'm able to get my workout, but I'm also able to like decompress and stress a little less.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's almost getting like three birds in one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love that you say like to do that with your kids, because that's actually, sort of what I do here in my home as well. And, like biking with your children is a great one.
Yes.
One of the ones I actually love here is we have a large trampoline in the backyard. And I'll get on the trampoline with her and we'll do tricks and, jump around and play games, like weird tag games and stuff like that on the trampoline as well. And by the end of it, I've had a blast. She's just squealing, and I'm winded. I'm like,
Yeah.
and my calves and my thighs and my glutes, everything is all like bulging. I can feel that I've worked them, right? And yet you passed 30, 40 minutes of time and you had a blast doing it. You didn't really
Yeah.
even have to think about, there isn't that negative association to moving your body.
Yeah. And I think also when you're doing stuff like that, or like biking or hiking or walking with your kids, we've talked about this before, you're starting to create that atmosphere in your family. We are a family that moves, because it's so important that our kids are starting to develop these habits, because we know what's out there. We live in a sedentary world. We live in a filled world. So really starting to develop it, that we move this. This is normal to go out on a hike on the weekends, or it's normal to do this. And even if your kids are resisting you, you just sort of got to stick with it. My kids aren't always excited, like, oh yes, because some of them are getting older, they're 10, 12, and they're not always excited, but they usually still have a good time, and they know that this is just part of our life. We move our bodies.
I love that. Yeah, creating that, like normalizing that active culture in the family, right? I know that when my daughter was young, it was definitely a lot easier for me to do my exercise during nap time because I was uninterrupted. But I made a conscious effort to do my exercise actually while she was awake, so that she could see that environment, so that it was a normal part of her upbringing. And I love that Facebook sends us those memories, right? Because I actually got a memory about 2 weeks ago of some video that I filmed of her actually doing an workout. I mean, like she had these little like 1 pound weights. She was a little over two. She was doing squats and she was doing walking lunges and she was doing like overhead presses because she was watching my husband do it in the living room.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, this is so incredible. She's so young and she idolizes this behavior. And as we've grown up, she's 6.5 now, she still gets excited when we pull the weights out or when we have the yoga mat out. And now she's getting into her own
Yeah.
activity and movement as well. But it's exciting to be able to see that that is a normal part of her upbringing, and
Yeah.
to be able to normalize that culture in the family, I think is really important.
Yeah, and just like you said, they mimic you. So, what are you doing? That is what they're going to do. And just like you, I love those memories. I have one of my kids, and it was probably like 7 years ago, at the circle bands, he like, actually, this wasn't an exercise, but he had it around his head and he's like doing like weird things with it. But it just like cracks me up. But just letting them be with you and exercise, and like don't worry about correcting them or making sure they're doing things right. Make sure they don't get hurt, but sort of let them be and do their thing so you can still focus on your workout too.
Yeah, exactly. So what I used to do is I used to like I would make sure she was set up with all the toys and activities. I actually had a special bin of activities that she didn't necessarily play with every day that I would bring out when it was time for me to do my exercises, because I just found that it was new and exciting for her, so it would keep her occupied long enough that I could get in a 15 or 20-minute workout, and she's still seeing me and we're still communicating, and she sees me struggle and I would say like, oh, I really don't want to do this, but here I am doing it anyways, right? So that she understands that the struggle that we experience about not wanting to hit play and not wanting to commit is there and it's real, but we show up anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So if so how old are all your kids now?
Yeah, so my three youngest are boys, so they're 5, 10, and 12, and then I have a 15-year-old daughter.
Lovely. Okay, so you've got quite a large range of ages
Yeah.
then that you're inspiring at home. So what are some tips for some of our audience who maybe have kids in those ranges where they can either keep their kids preoccupied while they squeeze in their own fitness, or really bring everybody together for something fun?
Yeah, so we try to on the weekend. So right now we're in Arizona, so it's like our summertime, our time to be outside. So we try to on the weekends to go for hikes or bike rides. So we're always trying to weekly do something as a family where we're moving. And then also I just want to hit a little bit on the nutrition piece, because I think that gets really hard, especially when kids are in school. But really trying to not be perfect, but incorporate fruits and vegetables and knowing that that's what's good. And also like even as your kids are little, talking to them about sugar, and you don't have to ban it, but talking to them about what makes their body function better. It's not a lot of sugar. And starting to teach them that, because when they go to school, it's like they're like always coming home with candy. It's like, I guess, just a cheap reward or prize. And like, it sort of drives me crazy. But, just talking to your kids about that and finding balance between everything. And then again, like more when my kids were little, they would sort of join in the workouts. Now that they're getting older, they usually don't. Like my boys like to go to the basketball court, ride bikes. They're sort of
Sure.
doing more active stuff on their own without me. And even my daughter, I guess it swings back. Now that she's 15, I'm teaching boot camp classes at a park, and like she'll come and join me. Or sometimes when I teach online and record a class, like she'll join me. So, you know, always having them welcome with you when they want, and also having things they do on their own for activity and exercise too.
I like that. Yeah. So it ties back to what you had said in the beginning of us finding something that we love and enjoy to move our bodies. And then, honoring our children's desire to move their bodies in a way that feels good for them as well.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
love that. Oh my gosh. Okay. We have covered so much here today. So, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, well, first of all, again, thank you so much for being here today. This has been wonderful. And so helpful. I feel like there's just been so much that we've sort of covered, and all those little tips and tricks that, moms and families and just busy people in general can really start to implement in their lifestyle. And don't overcomplicate it, right? Like it just comes
Yeah.
down to what feels good for you and where can you fit it in your day to feel good and be motivated to stick to it.
Yeah.
So, where can our viewers find you to learn more about you and benefit from your expertise?
Yeah, you can head to my website, michelleriechman.com, and on there you can figure out how to connect with me on social. I'm also starting a podcast in 2 weeks, so it's going to be called Healthy Beyond 40. So I would love for you to tune into that, and I'm having some prizes. So if you want to get in on the prizes, just find me on social media and message me. But I'm super excited to launch that and really just continue the same message we're talking about how we can be healthy, how we can simplify our nutrition and exercise, and really find that sustainable way. And I think especially when we have kids, we want to be doing something that our kids can be doing. So that's where exercise and our nutrition, unless you have some specific health condition where you need a different diet. But overall, our diet should be something that our kids can be eating. And I think that's really important to keep it healthy and to keep it a good way for the family to live.
That's amazing. I love that. Okay, so in the description of this video, I've already included the your website link, and I'm going to also tag you in this video so that anybody who's watching here today who wants to connect with Michelle, and ask you some questions, or start connecting with all the amazing things you've got going on, you'll be able to do that directly with her. And then, of course, you can follow her and watch all the amazing things she's doing. I've seen a little bit, and I'm super excited. So
Yeah.
it helps me stay motivated as well, right? So
Yeah.
thank you, everybody who has hung out here with us today and have a listen. I'm hoping that what we've shared today has brought some encouragement or inspiration to your life and has prompted you to find a little bit of time in your day today, even to get started and get moving, and launch yourself on that journey of good health and committing to yourself in a way that maybe you haven't done so in the past, or maybe you need to recommit to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everybody, so much for hanging out with us here today, and have yourselves all a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.